Welcome to today's episode of Table Talk with
the Mercer County ESC.
Right, it took us a hot minute to
get settled,
start recording
clean up our
because
mess.
we had a mess here, and we all know how I am about a mess.
I don't care about messes.
Emily, you're allowed to tell them the story.
One time, well, actually, I don't want you to like get an unfair depiction of who I am, because if you ask my family how I feel about messes, like I'm neurotic when it comes to like my house being clean. But like if you look in my closet's not organized. Like, so I'm like a really disorganized, organized person. I know where everything's at. Like I know where it's at. If you walked into my house, you'd be like, oh, this is clean. But if you like looked in nooks and crannies, no. So
I'm kind of like that too.
right. Like yeah. But
everybody hides their stuff.
I'm so busy working, like, and creating all this brilliant stuff that I don't have time to clean my office. So there are papers in places, just there are papers, there are paper clips, there are. So anyways, one day Lindsay comes in and literally no notice. What is going on in here? This place is a mess. We've got to clean it up. And she starts picking up my stuff, like all my stuff, and just like she's throwing things away. She's like, is this a pen cap? Why do you have a pen cap? Throws it away. Well, guess what? A week later, I found the pen. The cap was gone.
Emily.
What?
I went into her office.
I'd like to hear your point of view because I don't understand.
A meeting. And I couldn't sit anywhere.
How many times do I have to tell you that? That is purposeful. I don't want people sitting in my office. I don't want visitors.
You don't want me to come down and visit you.
Are we being honest with each other?
I know you don't.
I mean, it's not you. I was just telling Ashley, I'm hot and sweaty because we're doing this podcast. And I'd be like, if I told Lindsay that, she'd be like, why? It's just me. You know me. It has nothing to do with you. I don't want any humans.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, just for reference, now when we have meetings, we go to my office.
Mm-hmm. It smells nice. It's dimly lit. I like overhead
lights.
I
don't like having
I don't know
all
what
my
it
lights
is
on.
about my brain.
I don't. I have a lamp.
I don't like when it's dark. You'll always have my overhead lights on.
Oh my God. I love it when it's dark. I just put little lights in my workout room so I don't have to have all the lights on.
That's a strange quality. I like lights. How do you know if someone's sneaking up on you if it's dark?
It doesn't matter. People sneak up on me all the time.
You're
They
right.
scare the crap out of me.
You're
in
right.
Office.
You're right.
Okay, so we talked about morphemes in our last episode, and now we're going to talk about morphemes versus syllables.
Yes. So you'll notice Lindsay and I are wearing the same clothes because we're just doing a marathon podcast.
Oh.
Well, if you were watching, you'd be like,
if
you watch these back to back to back, you'd be like, do they wear the same clothes all the time? It's just because we're going back to back to back.
Yeah, we have
right?
decided we are just going to do a marathon of recording, and then we can basically publish these throughout. I don't even know how often we're going to publish them.
Yeah. So despite the fact that we just recorded it, just a friendly reminder, morphology is the study of meaningful units in a word, and morphemes are those meaningful units. So today we're going to talk about the difference. Apparently, this is a commonly misunderstood topic. The difference between morphemes versus syllables.
Yes. Okay. Let's get into it.
Okay.
All right, Emily, can we please remind the audience what a morpheme is and what a syllable is?
Yeah. So like we said, morpheme, unit of meaning in language.
That's what we practiced with our last
that's what we practiced with the last one. That is morphemes and morphology.
Can you give an example?
Yeah. So like in
case somebody didn't listen to our last episode.
Yeah. So in the last episode, we gave Lindsay the word aggrandize. And so that has 3 different morphemes. You have the prefix, which we won't go too deep into that, being add, changes to a G, but we can talk about grand. That's the root. That's a morpheme as well. So roots, we'll get into that as well, the roots and things like that in the next episode. But that is also a morpheme. And then that IZE is a morpheme as well. And do you remember what that one means?
Makes it an adjective or a verb.
It makes it a verb. Yes. So those little parts, a word can be broken down by morphemes, which is the meaning in language. Words can also be broken down by syllables.
And this is what I think, definitely the younger grade levels, I think they focus more on the syllables.
Yes, absolutely. And there are words that, and we're going to show a word today, because morphology really should, and this is something we didn't talk about in the last episode, We were talking a lot about secondary teachers in the last episode, but morphology really should start as soon as students are able to decode.
Right.
Like I said, my son's teacher has been doing a really good job, and he's been recognizing suffix s everywhere. So he'll point out a suffix s to me and be like, "That means there's more than one." And he goes, "But s doesn't always have to be a suffix." So getting kids to start to understand even s, even just an s, that's a morpheme. Because if we take the word dog, that's one morpheme. When we add an S, now we have two morphemes in that word.
Right.
Because that S has meaning. We know there's more than one dog now because of that. Whereas with a syllable, dog and dogs, still one.
Yeah.
Doesn't change. So that this is important. It's a important delineation because morphemes and syllables are two different tools.
What just flickered?
I know. I hope it like kept us going.
Kept us going. I guess
that'd be
we'll find
Yeah.
out.
Okay. Well, I think that's all I needed to say, anyways. That could have been bad. Lindsay just almost wrote all over herself.
Okay.
Okay. So
back being the student.
yes, you're going to be our student so that we can understand the differences. We're going to do a little activity here that could be replicated to delineate the difference between. That was redundant, to delineate syllables from morphemes. Okay,
So what is this called?
Syllable spelling, morpheme spelling. Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're going to do first, we're going to use the word banana. So before we begin, we're going to figure out how many syllables are in banana.
Banana.
Good job. Okay, so you're going to take and put dots in 3 boxes because we know it's 3 syllables. Okay. Okay, we got the syllables. Very good. Okay, so now can you spell the word?
So let me ask this.
Do it.
Kids can do this without knowing how to spell the word already.
100%. Yes.
Okay.
And you can modify this in it because another thing to remember is you are fostering word consciousness. Assessments are incredibly important. It is important to make sure that our students are growing, that we have data to show that they're growing. But also you don't have to assess everything. This can be a way that you teach. It could also be a way that you assess. And you could award points for syllables. That way kids can score points on spelling tests instead of just getting a 0 out of 20, right?
Right. Okay, so I have 3 syllables.
Now break that word down, spell it out in those boxes based on the syllable.
So, B-A.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I'm glad you did this because I'm not a syllable person. Okay, so we have
But I don't know if that's right.
Nah. Yeah, A can't.
A syllable can't be one.
No,
letter.
It has to be the end.
So if I did this,
yes.
this
So
wouldn't be right.
No, you're not right.
So as a student, would you correct them right away?
Yes, if I had the capacity, absolutely yes.
Okay.
But
the students are doing this on their own.
They're doing it on their own.
And
you could be modeling it on the board.
It? Okay.
You may want to begin.
Be a different color marker.
Yeah, I would never do this activity cold. I would do
look it up ahead of time.
a we do as well.
Now underneath, I'm going to do it correctly.
Yes.
Okay, so.
All right. Much better. Much better. Okay, so you have banana. We know that that's 3 syllables. Very good. Okay, now we're going to identify the morphemes. How many morphemes are in banana? This is a trick question. It's as easy as you think it is. 1. There's 1 morpheme in bananas.
Okay.
Or in banana. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to circle the morpheme. Okay, how many morphemes do we have in that word, Lindsay?
1.
How many syllables?
3.
Okay, so we have 3 times as many syllables as we do morphemes.
Mm-hmm.
Great example of how morphemes and syllables aren't correct or aren't the same. So go down to the next box. Okay, let's do bananas. Wait, let's do the syllables first. Bananas. Okay, how many do we have?
3.
Okay, now go ahead and spell that based on the syllabication. Okay, now how many morphemes do we have?
1. No, 2.
2. Can you circle the morphemes?
Yeah.
All right. How many syllables do we have?
Okay, so we have 3 syllables,
Two
2
morphemes.
morphemes.
So you can see a morpheme can be as easy as adding a suffix s. We've now changed the meaning from having a single banana to multiple bananas. So this is a very entry level morphological concept, is that suffix s. It's probably one of the first ones. I mean, my son's a first grader and
Right.
it's one of the first ones that they learn. So
This would be really good for prefixes too.
very good. Well, that's what we're going to do. We'll do one more next
Okay.
to show that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good deal.
All right. So we looked up banana after the fact, which is actually a good teaching moment, because there will be times when you will learn things with your students, especially if you're a secondary teacher, having students focus on syllabication, because that may not be something that you have done often. So actually online it says that banana can be broken down either way, like
Either way. So
different
it could have
dictionaries.
been the purple or this.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
So I say in these experiences, if you run into situations when you don't know, like if we didn't have this whole setup with all these chords and everything, we would have looked that up on the spot when there was like when we
So
were going, I'm
where
not
would you
sure.
look that up at? You just Google it, or
There's
is there a
actually
website?
there's a website called How Many Syllables. It's exactly how it sounds. And so a lot of our teachers have been using that, the teachers that have been implementing this, How Many Syllables. And then there's another resource for etymology or morphemes. It's called Etym Online, spelled like etymology, ETY. So that's another resource as well. Etym Online is a little clumsy to use, so I would definitely try to use it yourself. And I wouldn't use it on any students younger than maybe like 7th grade. I wouldn't set them free on that, because it's a little complicated and I wouldn't want them to get confused. So we're gonna do one more word, because I think banana obviously was.
Oh my gosh.
What is your husband calling?
Okay. It says my husband is calling. I am not taking this.
Are you sure?
Because I know exactly who it is.
Oh, it's your daughter.
It is Kari.
Yep, it's
She
your
is
daughter.
now home from school. Hey, Mom, guess what?
Can I have 7 popsicles?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right. Or Jackson's being mean to me.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So since banana was just one morpheme, we're going to do another one to kind of really show the difference between morphemes and syllables. So we are going to do the word unhappy. Can you?
So
unhappy. Okay. How many syllables?
There are 3.
Okay. Go ahead and give us the dots. Beautiful. Okay. So now write those syllables in the respective boxes. Very good. Okay, now we're going to get to the hard part, okay? Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say, no, I don't. I would have asked it. It's good.
Okay.
I think we're going to get to it in this next one, so that's why I want to wait.
Okay. So I need you to identify the morphemes. How many morphemes do you think this word has?
2.
2. You are absolutely correct. So can you circle those morphemes? Her phone is ringing again, friends. Wow, that's cool. Okay, so what do we see here?
So we have 3 syllables and 2 morphemes.
2 morphemes, right? And happy, that morpheme is split between 2 syllables, just like banana was. It was a single morpheme split between 3 syllables. So students could see that. And then there's a component to this that if you were truly doing this, maybe to teach spelling, because you can use morphology to teach spelling as well, you may have a longer rectangular box at the end where they can pose all of they write the word out completely together. So this is a good example of how those morphemes can transcend boxes. They can transcend syllables, and really getting students to understand how our language is morphophonemic, because we have sounds and we have meaning. Because remember, a syllable is a unit of sound, a morpheme is a unit of meaning. So this is just accentuating that idea that our language is morphophonemic. So we're going to try one more. We're going to do unhappiness.
Okay.
Well, clap the syllables first.
Yeah.
Unhappiness. Is that 5?
No,
okay. We have enough boxes.
Yes.
One more note about clapping. Even if you are a secondary teacher, we have been at training, morpheme training, with a morpheme guru. I don't care what age you are. Everybody in the classroom should be clapping syllables, because if everybody's clapping syllables, nobody looks silly. So even if you are teaching 12th grade, we are clapping out those syllables, because don't take for granted that your students can recognize those syllables. So if everybody's clapping, everybody's doing it together, we all look a little bit silly.
I just realized that blue's kind of faint.
Okay.
Okay.
We have unhappiness. Can you split that up into their syllable boxes? Very good. Okay. So she's got them split into the syllable boxes. Now you're probably noticing that unhappiness isn't spelled right here. So along with, and this is something that you could address in the moment. There are, if you look up, there are a few supplements, like supplemental materials for Morphemes that will spell out rules for you. I think Morpheme Magic maybe gives 4 spelling rules, because there's a doubling rule. Obviously, you know that with the INGs. So when we take run and we turn it into running, we double that N because of the ING. And so then dropping the Y and adding an I.
So would you suggest that I just
I would probably teach that right in the moment. So if that's something that you've scaffolded in, that you've taught the students leading up to it, you can make a correction there. And again, what we tell people all the time when we're talking about reading instruction or that explicit instruction in reading, you have to remember what you're teaching in the moment, right? So right now we're teaching morphemes. Of course, we want the students to spell the word right. If a student has that Y there, they're understanding the syllabication and the morphemes, and just making sure that we have those rules. Honestly, I would take those spelling rules and I would have them posted all over my room so they're there all the time so the students can see it. So now that we have that spelling corrected, we have unhappiness in the 4 different syllable boxes. How many morphemes are there?
So there would be 3.
There are 3. So can you circle those morphemes? Very good. So you can see those all together. And again, if we had more space, there would be a rectangular box at the end where Lindsay would be able to then, that could be a place where you also correct that Y spelling. So maybe in the boxes,
So then I would just write it.
Yep. So maybe as a teacher, if I'm walking around and monitoring what the students are doing, I may see a lot of my students replace or have a Y instead of that I. I may say, hey guys, just a reminder, take a look at the spelling rule up there in the corner. And that before you write it out into your box, I may prompt them. But again, we have to make sure that this instruction is explicit and that we're correcting those errors, as they're happening in real time. So the student writes out the word, you have a spelling test. So now that you can see it all spelled out, you can see that if you did want to assess this, you could give a point for the syllabication. You could give a point for recognizing the different morphemes and a point for having the word spelled correctly. So a student can now get,
There's 3 points.
yeah, instead of getting a 0 out of 20 and their attitude on spelling is just not good.
Yeah.
So this is just a quick way.
Would you have them do the definition or meaning since you're doing morphemes? Like,
you
would
could,
look
yeah.
that
If
up
you
and
wanted to
you could-
combine those together, like before we started filming this, I made sure I looked up what ness meant as a morpheme, and ness means the state of something. So we could then talk about how adding that NES, like if we did these together, we could talk about how adding that NES, what does that do to the word unhappy? So Lindsay, what adding that NES, what does it do to the word unhappy?
I forget what you said.
The state of.
Oh, it just happiness, like the state of happy.
Right. Like you would now maybe use this as
I'm sad.
There you go. She's brilliant, people. I also have to let you know that right now it's 3:30 on a Friday.
With my daughter still.
So we're donezo. We're donezo.
Done. I don't know what she wants. It feels weird over here.
I know. I don't like it over here either.
I
Though it
don't
is
like
nice
it.
to have a place to put my legs.
Oh, I didn't
Sorry.
even think
Yeah, I don't
about
have anywhere
that.
to put my giant legs over there.
We will have to switch sides maybe.
I think you should tell them what Kari wanted.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So I took the call because I started to get concerned, right? Like I stepped off to the side and I said, I will call you right back. Okay. So I was all flustered, like, okay, I better call her back. So I call her back.
That's probably why she put Y in unhappiness. No, she was trying to be a good student
Yes.
and make student mistakes.
No, I was for real. I do know that.
I know,
Okay.
Lindsay. I'm just picking on you.
So anyhow, I call her back, which I have to call our Alexa, which does a drop in, which is a video. And all I see is the kitchen. And I ask for her, and what does
I heard Ava go.
no, Kari's like, Hold on
Oh,
1 second.
I thought that was Ava.
No, that was Kari.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on 1 second. So then I hear her come over and I ask her, "What is so important? You interrupted me at work." She
Never
goes,
mind.
big smile. Yeah, never mind. Because she knows that she's not supposed to be interrupting unless it's an absolute emergency. And guess what it was?
Can I have a slumber party?
Can I have a sleepover? And I said, where? And she goes, no, like at our house. So she wants to have a friend over tonight. This is a common occurrence. She has made plans probably at school already. And now she's probably, I mean, she wants to have a sleepover. And
And
I
guys, guess what
say,
Lindsay said? Go ask your dad.
because he's in the house.
And guess what? Guess what dad said? Go ask your mom.
And I said, I don't care, but I'm not going to be home in the morning.
Oh
So go
my
back to dad.
gosh. That's always a hard no. I got enough children in my house. We don't add to that. So if you're listening,
So,
don't even ask to come
oh
over.
yeah. So whatever. I don't know. I guess we might have another body in the house. I really don't care, but
Good for you. You're a
it's
great
just
mom.
interrupting. Don't call to interrupt after you just asked your
We're here
dad.
trying to study morphology.
I know.
And she's
At almost 4 o'clock on a Friday.
on a Friday.
Gosh. Okay. So it is almost 4 o'clock on a
On a
Friday.
Friday.
We
So we're
are
getting
going
out of here.
to end this right now. Okay, so we have done now
Intro to morphology.
and we have done syllabication, and now we're going to do.
Prefixes.
So make sure that you tune back in for our prefixes, which will be our third episode of the series. So we'll see you next time.
Bye.